What's it like being so dreadful? Another cried. More questions were hurled along similar themes, and Thomas retreated as their mass closed in. Is this about the rats? He asked. He'd never seen so many microphones and cameras, and wondered whether this was what Dutch pornography was like. Despite their questions, he felt to be a star. Being shit, someone asked. What's it like? You're clearly ghastly at everything, a woman screamed, climbing on top of a colleague. What does it feel like? I don't know what you're talking about, he yelled at her. Is this about the rats? How do you spell rat? Someone asked. I beg your pardon? How do you spell rat? Well, like everyone else, presumably. Why? No, I mean, how do you spell it? Dreadfully, I know, but just how dreadfully? I don't spell it dreadfully at all. It's only got 4 letters. It's not complicated. But judging by your completely shit books, you must find it very complicated indeed. Thomas stared at them and their wavering microphones, which were shoved at him expectantly, and realised something was wrong beyond his clinical inability to masturbate. This isn't about the rats, is it? He said. Not remotely, said the man who was still urinating, which was either the result of a heavy night out, cystitis, or finding Thomas more boring than anticipated. Well, I'm sorry, said Thomas, wishing he had some keys to fiddle with while sidling toward the building. But I'm not interested in anything you've got to say. Which is ironic, said the woman, because we are, despite your astonishingly shit writing. It's not shit at all, said Thomas. It's misunderstood. Stop waving microphones and cameras at me. We can't, someone else said. In fact, because you're so absolutely shit, a lot of us were wondering whether you were actually inside your flat, but too stupid to reply. I wasn't inside at all. Well, we know that now, obviously. We've been calling you for hours. But I don't have a telephone. A man pointed at the building. You don't even have a front door. We've been shouting your name repeatedly, the woman said, because your writing suggests a stupidity so wanton that you might have forgotten it. I'm sorry? Your name? We wondered whether your lack of reply was because you'd either forgotten your name or forgotten you had one. He stared at them. But how could I forget my name? Nobody can forget their name. Which is why we're so interested, you see. Your writing suggests such a biblical level of stupidity that it's fascinating. He continued staring, having never imagined such meanness, and he wondered whether it was a sort of reverse compliment. Is that a sort of reverse compliment? The laughter to this bordered on therapeutic. How do you not fall down more often? Someone asked. What? How do you stay upright for extended periods? Well, what sort of a question is that? Well, considering your utterly shit writing, your brain clearly doesn't work. Do you actually have a brain? The woman asked, holding a microphone out at him. Of course I have a brain. Wait, is it broken? No, it works very well, thank you. He felt the sort of indignation more commonly attributed to his mother, and it was concerning to discover members of the public managed a calibre on par. It implied the world was more complicated than his naivety suggested, and he felt a growing bewilderment that threatened to overwhelm. I don't know what you're all going on about, he said, squeezing past thrusted equipment. Yes, we have the same problem with your writing. I've just come from hospital, all right? And I'm not interested in anything you have to say. Was it a brain operation? The woman asked, thrusting more, though stopped when a colleague pointed out that a prerequisite was having one. At the top of what used to be steps, Thomas turned to them all and scowled. He didn't mind being a misunderstood genius, provided people realised he was one. Look, he said, I didn't want my books released just yet. I admit that they probably need a bit of work. What, like incineration? Thomas choked. The inference that his mother was right made the world suddenly compress. Someone took them without my permission, all right? He said. A librarian, actually, which implies they must have some merit. She liked them, unless she wanted to burn them. Look, they're actually quite good in places. Which places? Besides a bin. That's not very nice. Well, neither are your books. Have you actually read them? Well, some of us have. Which of you? Well, they're not here. Thomas folded his arms in triumph. Well, there you are then. They're not here, being mean, while you are. Perhaps they realise I'm brilliant. No. It's because they're in intensive care. Thomas's face not only fell, but rolled across the pavement and into the gutter. Well, what do you mean? I mean, they went a funny colour, lost consciousness, and were taken to casualty. He shifted uncomfortably, which is understandable after losing a face. Well, perhaps it's because they were overwhelmed by my sheer brilliance. Or they vomited first. Envy? And one gouged out his own eyes. Better than gouging out someone else's. Look, there's obviously been a misunderstanding. My books can't be that bad. They're mainly about cats and dogs, and were you in hospital because of your denial? He stared again. What? Were you in hospital because you're in denial about your shit writing to such an extent that it's a clinical pathology? No. Then why were you in hospital? That's none of your business. Maybe. But you can see our concern, surely. I can't see anything at the moment. Is that because you've tried reading your books? Thomas rubbed his face with the sort of vigour not recommended after it's fallen off. Look, I was in hospital because I drank coffee and I'm allergic to it. Attempted suicide? Asked someone. Sheer stupidity, suggested another. No, cried Thomas. Neither. It was accidental. When someone suggested his attempted murder, there was a communal murmur of enlightenment.